I simply slept and woke up with 9-pack abs. Even my sister blushed when she saw me. The reason is my freakish ability to grow stronger by dreaming. In my dreams, I fight zombies and gain their memories and abilities from when they were alive. But just the day before, I was a loser with a vital energy and blood value of only 0.7, while even the big sister who moves bricks at the construction site had a value of 0.8. My teacher told me I was hopeless, doomed never to afford 4 dishes and a meal. It turns out this is a world that reveres combat power. 100 years ago, many monsters emerged on Earth, and human firearms became ineffective against them. At their wits' end, humans awakened special abilities to defeat these monsters, ushering in the era of martial arts. Vital energy and blood value is akin to chakra, representing the internal energy capacity of the body. To ensure I could graduate from the martial artist class, my father worked 5 jobs a day just to afford 2 bottles of Vitality Boost powder to increase my vital energy and blood value. But I knew this was a complete waste of money. Not wanting to disappoint my parents, I routinely returned to my room to practice the National Basic Body Conditioning Routine, the 14th set of National Middle School students' broadcast exercises. Gritting my teeth, I barely managed to finish 3 repetitions before I fainted from exhaustion. The next moment, as usual, I found myself in this dream. I pinched my face hard. It seems I slept too deeply again. This was already my 101st entry into the dream. Just then, a zombie in a bulletproof vest lunged at me. "You again? Why do you keep following me?" Disgusted by his rotten, unbrushed teeth for 2 years, causing goosebumps all over. Damn it, I'm at least half a martial artist, and in my own dream, you still dare to bully me? Then, my size 43 foot kicked him in the waist, anger clouding my reason, and the zombie flew 2 meters away. Then I picked up a large rock from the ground and smashed it onto the zombie's head 99 times until its brain splattered, and it finally stopped moving. It seems the zombie's weakness is its head. Once damaged, it ceases to function. Just then, a cloud of smoke surged towards me. Ah, what is this? My head hurts so much. Then, various memories of a man flooded my mind. A soldier, body refining, breathing techniques, terrifying beasts. This man seemed very powerful. Could these be the memories of that guy before he died? While reflecting on this, another zombie lunged at me. My body subconsciously reacted with a catch, transfer, and release, all in one fluid motion, knocking the zombie to the ground. Is this really me? I could feel a surge of power continuously flowing through my body. It seems that killing a zombie not only grants me their memories, but also their strength. It's so easy to gain the experience that others have accumulated over a lifetime. Just as I was marveling at how incredible this dream was, an impatient voice woke me up. It turned out to be my sister calling me to eat. My sister and I are stark contrasts. Although she is a few years younger, she is the genius representative of the school. Her vital energy and blood value is about to reach level 1 martial artist. Thus, I became the brother she is anxious not to mention. As I took off my soaked shirt, I was surprised to find that my physique had become so good. I wasn't tired and felt energetic. Not only that, I remembered all the memories and various combat techniques inherited from that zombie. It turns out everything in the dream was real. The next moment, my suddenly increased terrifying appetite surprised my family. My father laughed and said, "Boys need to eat a lot to increase their vital energy and blood value." Dad, he's 18 already. Do you think that just by eating, one can increase vital energy and blood? Maybe my vital energy and blood value really did increase in the dream. After dinner, I quietly went to the neighboring martial arts gym. Suddenly, a green light emerged, and I was surprised to see the information displayed on the panel above. What? 0.96. It went up by 0.2 in just 1 hour. Some ordinary people might take 2 years to increase by 0.1. Then I closed my eyes and gathered strength in my hands. At that moment, all the combat techniques and experiences of the bulletproof vest man from before were imprinted in my mind. I then delivered my strongest blow. Ding, 113. This increase even surpassed the vital energy and blood value standard. Thus, I couldn't sleep at night due to insomnia. Since I couldn't sleep, I might as well practice the broadcast exercises. As I threw punch after punch, I found my body involuntarily performing an extremely complex set of fist techniques. This turned out to be the body refining technique that the zombie had learned before, and now it was etched into my bones. It seems this is the real treasure of the dream. But the next moment, I felt listless. A strong sense of hunger overwhelmed me. It's over. Why am I so hungry? Could it be because my vital energy and blood value has increased, and my body can't keep up with the energy supply, and ordinary meals can't replenish it? I need nutritional supplements, but thinking about my family's current income, I couldn't afford those expensive medicinal ingredients. I had to rely on myself. It seems extremely difficult for a poor family to produce a top scholar. For someone like my sister, it could only be due to exceptional talent. And now, the only way to increase income might be the school's scholarship. Every year, the school provides a lot of resources to outstanding students. So, in tomorrow's college combat test, I must show my talent and strength to get that scholarship. The next day, when my classmate Fatty saw my muscular body, he couldn't help but be amazed. "What have you been doing? I hardly recognize you after just a few few days. Then we headed to the combat training ground. Today's class is taught by a level 2 martial artist with a large scar on his hand, a man who has truly battled monstrous beasts on the field. He then taught us a few sets of combat boxing, but I felt the techniques he demonstrated were too simplistic compared to the sophisticated moves of the zombie in my dream. Then, the teacher asked a student to come up for a demonstration. Unsurprisingly, this opportunity to show off was clearly meant for Yanifei. After all, the teachers at the academy also wanted to curry favor with him. Not only does his family own mines, but his talent is extraordinary. He now nearly possesses the strength of a level 1 martial artist. The two then performed the combat boxing demonstration on stage. After their practice, the teacher politely pointed out several aspects of Yanifei's technique. Yanifei thought to himself, "You dare to teach me? A mere level 2 martial artist. Cannon fodder on the battlefield." Then came the practical combat segment. To highlight Yanifei's excellence, the teacher even called out, "Is there any student who would like to spar with Yanifei?" Seeing the students with heads hung low, the teacher felt helpless. These students are all too timid to achieve greatness. This is the worst class I've ever taught. It seems only Yanifei is decent. The next moment, the teacher was startled because he noticed a pair of eyes staring intently at him from below. That sharp gaze. Only those who have experienced the battlefield have such a temperament. It seems there is still a good seedling in this class. Then, I was called by the teacher to fight against Yanifei. Fatty by my side told me to quickly refuse. If I got injured in this fight, it would directly affect the unified exam in a few days. But I calmly looked at him, indicating that I had been training well these days and should be fine. This young man is calm and fearless, a good seedling indeed. Why didn't I notice him before? When the teacher learned that my vital energy and blood value was 0.7, he was stunned. Could it be that I was mistaken? He then instructed that the sparring should be for technical exchange, to stop at the point of contact, and last for 10 minutes. Meanwhile, Yanifei constantly taunted me on stage, advising me not to brace with your hands when you fall, or you might break a bone. I simply took a stance and said calmly, "Come on." Then a large hand swiftly flew towards my face. "Kid, do you know what's most important in actual combat? Controlling the gap between you and your opponent, predicting the opponent's distance, observing their moves, or choosing a targeted combat strategy? No, it's the gap between your vital energy and blood value and mine." Just as his fist was 1 centimeter from me, the entire audience was frozen, worried for my safety. But the missed punch left Yanifei's expression stiff. Meanwhile, his slow movement, like a snail's, had already been clearly seen by me. I quickly squatted down, and then delivered a powerful left hook to his face, sending him flying 20 meters away. This scene not only shocked the classmates, but even I was surprised. The teacher, suspecting that I used a special potion, decided to take me in for interrogation. He then wanted to take me to the office for a checkup. I didn't explain and simply placed my hand in the scanner, leaving the teacher shocked as he looked at the panel. This attribute is already that of a formal level 1 martial artist. Even in the entire White River City, this qualifies as genius. Learning that my vital energy and blood value had risen from 0.8 to 1.5 in half a month, the teacher inwardly exclaimed that I was a monster. Thus, he wanted to place me in a better class with more qualified teachers, but I refused. After all, no teacher could improve me as fast as dreaming. The teacher then pulled out a black gold card with at least several $100,000 in it. Since that's the case, the school can only offer you financial support. However, there was one condition. I had to represent the school in a military district camp assessment next month. Naturally, I wouldn't refuse such free money, but I did make one point clear. The school couldn't restrict my freedom to attend classes, as I still needed to dream at home. Back home, I continued to fight monsters in my dreams to level up. However, these monsters weren't very strong, so my improvement was limited. So, based on the memories of that zombie, I went to the so-called Base 1359 to uncover any secrets. The walls here were more than 30 meters thick. What kind of battle could have caused such destruction? That's when I saw a white-haired zombie sitting in a command tower. Our eyes met, and I felt as though I was thrown back, my soul torn apart. It seems that one must not approach this place without sufficient strength. Afterward, I followed the zombie's memories to a dark room. A glowing stone there caught my attention. When I touched it, a burst of green light exploded. Then a voice murmured, "Welcome to Eternal Sky Technologies." From it, I learned about the destruction of this world in my dreams. I hadn't expected such a powerful martial arts system to be unable to withstand the monster attacks. But why does the division of martial arts seem the same as ours? I then looked into the history of this world, but the next scene left me stunned. This was our world, 10,000 years in the future. The world had been destroyed by monsters, and the remaining humans had abandoned the main planet. I then used the system to pull up my information. It turns out I was just a civilian, unmarried, who died at 28. But when I tried to access my sister's information, a warning popped up. Insufficient permissions, a blood sample gene login required. I didn't expect this elf's method of drawing blood to be so unique. Ding. The next moment the system detected my human gene and immediately initiated the kindling plan, connecting to the database. But after the connection, when I checked my information again, it had changed. I now had level 2 clearance, graduated first from River College, college, joined the military district 3 years later, and died in the southern battle zone at age 37, unmarried, with the rank of lieutenant. Could it be that my sudden increase in strength altered history? After all, my trajectory before the age of 18 was exactly the same, even the surge in abilities during the college entrance exam. I then used the database to look up the best techniques suitable for a level 1 martial artist that my current permissions allowed. 3 appeared: stellar body refining technique, natural breathing method, and crystal visualization technique. Although they are all introductory texts, they were created by level 11 powerhouses. The strongest in our current world are only level 9. How terrifying level 11 must be. I then began to practice on the spot, focusing on techniques for refining the body, cultivating internal energy, and enhancing mental strength. These techniques were 1,000 times stronger than the current practices. The next day, I woke up with a tired face, but I felt a difference in my body. This stench must be the impurities being expelled from my body. Now that I had everything, I decided to try making some medicine. I just needed to find a pharmacy lab, which isn't something the average person can afford as they are incredibly precious. I asked 15 pharmacies on 9 streets, and not one would rent their space to me. Feeling dejected, I walked into an old and rundown pharmacy. Under my threats and persuasion, the clerk agreed to let me use it for 3 hours, otherwise, he'd be in trouble when the boss returned. Since it was my first time making medicine, I carefully took out the ingredients and mixed them according to the recipe's ratios, finally producing a purplish-red liquid. However, I only took a small sip, and the next moment, a sharp pain surged through me. It felt as if my body was being sliced and burned, the pain lasting for 2 minutes. I didn't expect the medicine to be so strong. It immediately replenished the deficit in my vital energy and blood caused by the rapid improvements recently. Most importantly, such a powerful effect comes with no side effects, truly a product of 10,000 years later. Suddenly, there was a rapid knocking at the door. It turned out the pharmacy owner had come back early. The clerk urged me to quickly escape through the window. If discovered, he would be fired. Sure enough, the female owner came back and fired him on the spot. Being a stickler for cleanliness, she even wanted to wash all the equipment. She then began drinking a medicine she had just brought back. No, this is ineffective. The reaction is too low. It turns out the owner was the daughter of the once prominent He's Pharmaceuticals, but now she only had this small shop. She researched medicine liquids daily, hoping to one day restore her family's glory, yet reality kept shattering her resolve, with no breakthroughs for many years. But then she noticed a test tube I had accidentally left in the corner. This must have been left by that person, and it even damaged my equipment. But the next moment, a fragrance from the medicine wafted into her nose. Only medicines of a certain grade emit a fragrance. Curious, she tasted it, and a look of astonishment crossed her face. The next moment, the owner dashed outside and called out urgently, "Who was that just now? He must be a master." The medicine he made was 10 times better than anything currently on the market, and the ingredients used were very inexpensive. Such a talent must be recruited. When she learned from the clerk that this so-called master was just a high school student, the owner was shocked. Could such a monster really exist? On the other side, I was still immersed in my dream, battling zombies. Today's opponent was a level 4 martial artist zombie. Let's see if I can fight you. I blocked the zombie's strike head-on, but its formidable impact made me feel as if my arms were breaking. It seems I can't take it head-on, so I used my agility to catch it off guard. Finally, after 2 hours of attacking, I successfully killed it. The next moment, memories flooded my mind. It turns out he was originally a level 5 martial artist who died on the front lines, a true soldier. No wonder his punches were so hard. Although the augmentation of the 3 martial arts techniques allowed me to unleash 10 to even 100 times more power, I wouldn't have been able to defeat him if he hadn't been missing an arm and lacked intelligence. The next day, I went back to the martial arts hall to test my vital energy and blood values again. Let's see how much I've improved over this month. But the data in front of me truly shocked me. 15.6, surpassing the standard for a level 2 martial artist, and my combat power was off the charts at 3,137. As I was leaving, the lady at the counter gave me a maternal smile. Testing twice in 1 month, I was considered a major customer for them. After all, some people don't increase their vital energy and blood value by even a point over several years, so it's rare for people to test frequently. After I left, 2 people slowly walked in. These individuals were the daughter of the martial arts gym owner and her disciple. However, the redhead, upon learning that I often come to test my vital energy and blood value, mocked. "Just by looking at that guy's outfit, you can tell he's just a kid from an ordinary family. No matter how much he tests, it's futile." Although somewhat arrogant, this statement was indeed based in reality, since he had grown up training with private tutors at the martial arts gym and consuming various supplements. "Don't be so proud. Some kids are highly talented." She then decided to check today's test records. The next moment, her eyes nearly popped out of her sockets. She immediately asked the receptionist to contact him. Lu Sheng, a high school student with the strength of a level 2 martial artist? That's unprecedented in the entire White River City. Meanwhile, I had arrived at the school, which I hadn't visited in days, because today was the final vital energy and blood assessment day. day, which would determine everyone's college future. Seeing me as an ordinary student, the staff treated me with disdain, just handing me a form to fill out and pay the registration fee. After I had taken care of everything, the assessment area was already packed with people. I'd have to wait forever for my turn. Looking around, I noticed several paparazzi-type figures eyeing a girl. This girl is younger than my sister, looking only about 15 or 16. To appear here alone, she must be quite strong. Most people in line today are over 25. Just then, a burly figure squeezed into the line. Who is this? Brazenly cutting in line. Yet, none of the people around dared to object. The reason was that this burly man was about to test for level 3 martial artist, a status not exceeded by more than 10 individuals in the entire White River City. The crowd gaped, and even the instructors were startled and let him through. As the man slowly approached the crystal, a couple who had been cut off complained, "It's just a level 3 test, not a pass. What's there to show off about?" But the next moment, with a ding, his vital energy and blood value showed 107, shocking the couple so much they spit out grape juice. After all, many people here had never seen a vital energy and blood value break 100. The examiner, shocked, called the burly man to test his combat power. After all, he needed to qualify in both aspects to pass the level 3 martial artist test. Suddenly, with a loud crash, the hall was shaking. What kind of power was this? It seemed like everyone took 2 steps back, but there was one exception, and that was the strikingly handsome me. The examiner, shocked, looked at the scoreboard, which showed an astonishing 10,831. Zhao Feng, congratulations on passing the level 3 martial artist exam with a vital energy and blood value over 100 and a combat power over 10,000. The wind pressure from your punch alone can make a level 1 martial artist unstable. You are literally a walking weapon of destruction. At that moment, I muttered, so this is what a level 3 martial artist is? Doesn't seem all that impressive. But my words clearly irritated the girl. I've never seen someone who acts so much. Since everyone was still in shock, I stepped forward to take my test first. After all, I couldn't waste time. The examiner appreciated my composure. "Young man, well done. Don't be nervous. Just place it slowly. Keep your heart rate normal." The next moment, the numbers on the screen made everyone's jaws drop. Holy shit, what the hell? 15.8. He's only 17 or 18, right? Did he start cultivating from the womb? Even Zhao Feng, who had just tested, was shocked, as he didn't have such talent himself. Next, I gathered strength in both hands. This time I wanted to see how strong my full strike was. As a burst of purple light shone, everyone's eyes were glued to the stage. When the storm subsided, the panel showed a number, 15,000. At that moment, it was as if everyone's worldview had been shattered. The examiner was so frightened he couldn't speak, as the assessment had exceeded his understanding. Although my vital energy and blood value was at level 1, my strength had surpassed that of a level 3 martial artist. So, he declared the assessment temporarily halted. This matter must be reported to the higher-ups. As I was considering whether to leave, a burly figure stood behind me. When I thought he was about to blow up, he instead extended his hand. "Kid, I see potential in you. My name is Zhao Feng. Let's be friends." At that moment, 2 probing forces quietly competed, but the next second, I unexpectedly gained several little fans wanting to take photos with me. Damn, I've got to get out of here. At the entrance of the Martial Artist Association, a classmate said, "Don't worry, isn't the martial artist certification a breeze for a genius like her?" Obviously, they were talking about the purple-clad young girl. At that moment, Lu Qinghe noticed Lu Shen coming out of the door, clearly surprised. I also noticed my sister opposite, so I slowly walked up to her. "Qinghe, what are you doing here? This is something I should be asking you, isn't it? You're always lazy, skipping school to sleep at home all day. What are you doing here at the Martial Artist Association?" Of course, I wouldn't tell her that my sleep is actually my training, so I lied, claiming I had some business and would be right back. At that moment, a short-haired girl approached. "Hello, Brother Lu. I'm Qinghe's classmate, Feng Fan. Today, we're here to accompany Sister Yang Yuan for her assessment." This Brother Lu looked so handsome, not at all like how Qinghe usually describes him. I patted my sister on the head and said, "Okay, I have some things to take care of, so I'll head back now." While they were joking about the sibling relationship, a girl came out. "How did it go, sister? Did you pass?" "Ugh, don't mention it. There was an incident, so the assessment was halted." "What? What kind of incident could cause a martial artist assessment to stop?" "It's because a monster appeared. That guy, about my age, but his vital energy and blood value is an incredible 15.7, and his combat power is off the charts at 15,000. What's this big brother's name?" The sister casually spit out 2 words. "Lu Shen." "What? Lu Shen? Isn't that my useless big brother?" Meanwhile, I had already returned home, prepared to sleep, and the first thing I did was pull up my personal information. Indeed, my future has changed again. An 18-year-old level 2 martial artist, causing a sensation in White River City. Later, with the recommendation of the Martial Association, I entered the top 20 in the East Com Province Talent Training Camp. Subsequently, I served and retired as an officer after 5 years, founding Xing Martial Arts. Just a week ago, I was still that 37-year-old level 4 martial artist who died. My future really has changed because of me. But the power of a level 6 martial artist is weak, not not enough to change the future, so I need to become stronger. Only by breaking through the martial arts peak do I stand a chance. On the other side, the association president was lamenting, the talent training camp is coming up soon, and White River City, without any martial arts heritage families or substantial resources, often has its promising seeds picked by other places. Damn, I've always wanted to discover talent and achieve results. Just then, an assistant frantically pushed open the door. What's the matter? Can't you knock on the door? Sorry, President, it's urgent. The examiner has brought major news. There's a candidate under 18 at our assessment site who reached a combat power of 15,000 as a level 2 martial artist. Holy shit, the president exclaimed. It's been years since White River City saw such a young level 2 martial artist, but the next moment, he was even more stunned. This young man performed a perfect form of martial arts. The assistant didn't understand what that meant. Let me put it this way, there are fewer than 10 kids his age in the world who can perfect their martial arts to this extent. But then he thought again, although perfect form gives a certain boost to martial arts, a vital energy and blood value of 15.7 shouldn't be able to produce 15,000 combat power, and he's from an ordinary family. There's only one explanation. He's a monstrous genius. We must secure him. Thinking this, the president not only laughed heartily, but our talent training camp has hope now. President, you old flirt, put me down first. Let's go. Prepare the car immediately. I want to personally visit Lu Xing's house. On the other side, a disciple inside the martial arts gym shouted, Sister, I found him. His name is Lu Xing, a student at White River Academy. His dad's a mover, his mom's a cashier, and he has a younger sister in high school. Go and buy some valuable gifts suitable for parents and a young girl right now. However, I was completely unaware of the sensation outside until Qinghe shouted, Brother, someone is looking for you. It had been a long time since Qinghe called me brother. I didn't know who the visitors were, but as soon as I went downstairs, I saw two large figures. The president of the Martial Association and the daughter of Red River Martial Arts Gym had actually come to visit my home in person. Up close, I could feel that the president was very strong, definitely possessing the strength of a level 6 martial artist. After some pleasantries, the president got straight to the point, pulling out a certificate and a check from his trouser pocket. Lu Xing, on behalf of White River City, I present you with this level 2 certificate and a prize of 1 million. Since your strength reaches level 3, future allowances will be issued at a level 3 martial artist rate. Holy crap, old man, are you talking about our son? A level 2 martial artist? Are we dreaming? Thank you, President, but I suspect you have another purpose for needing my help, right? Otherwise, just a level 2 martial artist's allowance wouldn't warrant a personal visit from the president. The kid has a good temperament, unfazed by events. Since that's the case, I'll speak plainly. We'd like you to represent White River City at the Eastcom Province's talent training camp. At this, Pink Hair was startled into action. President Xiao, this doesn't seem right. Although the talent training camp is indeed a gathering place for martial arts prodigies, it is also a place where talents can be destroyed. Our gym's most promising senior brother was never the same after he returned from the camp, lost among the crowd. Lu Xing has limitless potential. He doesn't need to take this risk. Although the president did not argue with Pink Hair, he left the decision to me. It's true that the place is filled with geniuses and is incredibly brutal, but I believe in the potential of Lu Xing and that he will not stop there. However, I smiled, then grabbed the president's registration form. Do I even need to think about it? Of course, I'm going. In that case, I'll head back now. Someone will come to pick you up in a few days. Then Pink Hair also started to explain the purpose of her visit, which was to invite me to become an honorary disciple at the Red River Martial Arts Gym. This would not limit my freedom. All courses would be free. I could receive personal instruction from the master, and I would even enjoy the benefits of a head instructor every month. But I declined without a second thought. Me, become a disciple at your gym? What are you thinking? It might seem all benefit and no harm to me, but I'm aware of their little schemes. Being a disciple is out of the question, but I can be an honorary member. After all, it's close to home, and I usually train at your place anyway. Then Pink Hair said she would pay me a salary of 100,000 per month to be an honorary member of the Red River Martial Arts Gym. After everyone left, my parents finally dared to speak. Son, when did you become a level 2 martial artist? Wasn't your vital energy and blood value just 0.8 a few days ago? Of course, I wouldn't tell them about the dreaming. Mom, you've worked hard. No need to do night shifts anymore. Dad doesn't need to do manual labor either. We have money now. Inside the Hall of Benevolence, the madam was angrily biting her finger. Damn it, where's that guy? It's been so many days, and I don't even know his name. The more I analyze the data on that medicine he made, the more terrifying it becomes. It has dozens of additional effects and almost no side effects. I've searched through the recently logged pharmacist's data and can't find any information on this genius pharmacist. At that moment, the clerk suddenly shouted in surprise, Boss, I found him. It's him, the genius from White River City. Holy crap, the madam was stunned. Although she knew he was young, she didn't expect him to be a minor. How am I supposed to get him now? Meanwhile, I was wandering through the hills, deeply experiencing nature. It seemed that with each breath, I absorbed some of the natural forces, merging my body with nature. This is the true natural breathing method. When I opened my eyes, I realized I had made a breakthrough. My vital energy and blood value had significantly increased. It looks like I need to start preparing the marrow-nourishing elixir's ingredients. The remaining ingredients are also reserved at the foot of the mountain. Let's see how fast my newly learned cloud-chasing step is. 2 seconds later, I reached the foot of the mountain, but then a local fool saw that I was a student, sat down, and jacked up the prices, trying to force a sale. Otherwise, he threatened to throw me up the mountain to feed the dogs. Hell no. Can I tolerate this? Seeing that I had no reaction, several knife-wielding thugs appeared behind him. It looks like you're not just fools, but a bunch of bandits. Bandits? You underestimate us. We're all bona fide level 1 martial artists. There's no surveillance here, so if you know what's good for you, leave your money and belongings. At that moment, I didn't bother with them, simply slamming my palm onto a rock and crushing it to powder, a feat only a level 3 martial artist could achieve. Are kids these days all this badass? They immediately knelt down, calling me dad and begging for mercy. The next day, I took the association's car to Eastcom province. So this is the talent training camp. Looking at the entrance, it looks more like a military base than a training camp. It seems you need to wear a martial artist badge to get in, but my badge was framed by my mom. So, I was stopped right at the entrance. Look, he's from that bottom feeder city. Didn't a bunch of people from that city go in yesterday? He doesn't even have a badge. Probably got in through the back door. After the instructor checked the list and found my name, with a special recommendation from the White River president, this only solidified their belief that I had entered through the back door. But because there were so few from my city, I was arranged to go in with people from neighboring Clear Source City. The moment I stepped through the gate, I felt something odd under my feet. This was no ordinary entrance ceremony. Your task is to make it to the exit across the corridor. Succeed and you're in. Fail and go home. This obviously caused dissatisfaction among the new recruits, but as soon as the voice fell, the ground beneath us split open, and everyone fell into a secret passage. It seems the other side meant making it through here. I immediately scanned with my psychic powers, and sure enough, this was not a simple passage. It was filled with traps. Then, led by young Master Lenyu of Clear Source City, the local genius group spoke. Since we all represent Clear Source City, we should stick together. So, they wanted me, the supposed dud from White River City, to lead the way. They just wanted to use me as a guinea pig. I thought about scaring them a bit, but then decided not to waste my breath on these scumbags. If you don't want to go, just move aside. After all, ferocious beasts always walk alone. It's only sheep that flock together. A bunch of bubblegum appeared. These were mechanical puppets. Everyone panicked. The weakest mechanical puppet was far stronger than a level 1 martial artist. Putting so many in a training camp. Are they trying to kill us? Though I'd heard that these things could match a level 4 martial artist, their cost is much higher than training a level 4 martial artist. Look at that kid from White River City. He must be peeing himself, standing motionless among the puppets. This kid came through the back door. Not even a martial artist. Probably turn into an idiot with one punch. But while they laugh at me as a fool, I laugh at them as idiots. A puppet swung a punch at me, and then there was a loud crash behind me. When the smoke cleared, I caught the puppet's fist unharmed. Everyone's face was filled with disbelief. He actually caught it. Is this all? Then, I grabbed the mechanical hand and lifted it suddenly, a burst of energy blowing the puppet apart. But my action made everyone laugh, because they thought these were just effective scraps. Otherwise, with my strength, I couldn't have come out unscathed. Then young Master Lin Yu stepped forward to personally demonstrate. Watch closely how I get through. Oh, young Master Lin is so powerful. But the next moment, a large hand slapped his face, smashing him against the wall. Everyone, be careful. These aren't level 1 martial artist puppets. They're damn level 2s. Immediately, everyone from Clear Source City started to worry. A whole bunch of level 2 puppets. Definitely impassable. But I was getting a bit bored. These puppets crumble with just a little force from me. Truly boring. On the other side, an instructor, puzzled, looked at the screen. What the hell? Why have most of the puppets stopped responding? Is there a malfunction? These are new. And I just kept breaking through barriers until I reached the end of the corridor and the door opened. Are you the guardian of the first level? Come on, fight me. What? No, I'm an examiner. What's going on with this kid? Meanwhile, 2 chief instructors were observing the situations in various examination areas, but they seemed somewhat dissatisfied with this year's candidates. Only 8 people have awakened their talents and become official martial artists, of which 5 have non-potential strength-based talents, 2 speed and defense types, and 1 psychic type. Who is the best of this batch? 18 years old. I plan to focus on developing her awakened psychic talents less than 2 years ago. Yo-ho, that's good, just like you back in the day. But the next moment, Green Hair was shocked because an instructor had been hit and was calling for backup. When I kicked open the examination hall door, dragging the unconscious examiner, many military officers were present. You're not a student from Clear Source City, are you? Who are you? I am Lu Xing from Evergreen Mountain Village, White River City. Good lad, not only causing destruction, but also beating up a teacher. Ah, I thought he was part of the assessment. The next moment, the chief instructor launched a psychic probe at me, and I withdrew my soul. Seeing that I was fine, she then let me go to the cafeteria to wait. The two then started to study my data. Lu Xing's attributes are unknown for now. List him as a seed player like Charlene. On the other side, I arrived at the long-awaited cafeteria. Is this the legendary beast meat? Bring 10 more plates. Just then, a girl came over and asked to sit next to me, but I refused, fearing she might share my rice. It turned out to be Yang Yuan, the only person from my city, although the president had said that no one from White River City had been able to come here for many years. Yang Yuan slowly said, actually, students from White River come here every year, but no one has passed the assessment for many years, so it's not mentioned, because everything here costs points. This time only 3 people started with points. All 3, without exception, were super geniuses who had awakened their talent attributes. So few, just 3 people. There's said to be a 4th person, rumored to be incredibly violent, known for attacking instructors during exams, a loose cannon. Hearing such descriptions of me made me spit out my drink. Seeing me startled, Yang Yuan smirked, confirming that everyone here was a super genius. Even Lu Sheng, who had made waves in White River City, was just another person here. But the next second, a line of people stood behind the girl. Lu Sheng, considering you damaged 88 puppets during the entrance assessment and knocked an instructor unconscious, requiring hospitalization, please come with us. In an instant, the incident swept through the entire camp. In the guidance room, the chief instructor scrutinized me for 2 minutes. Do you realize you damaged 88 of our machines, each worth at least 10 million? However, after discussion, this will be considered damage during the assessment and you will not be held responsible. At that moment, 3 more students walked in. This is your assessment reward. Here, the stronger you are, the more resources you get. But why is my card white? Could it be empty? Beast meat costs 5 points per meal. Using the training room costs 10 points per hour. 1 session of coaching from an instructor costs 30 points, while a session with the chief or deputy chief instructor costs 100 points. It seems this is just a meal card. Ha ha ha. You kid, acting coy even after getting a bargain. Do you know you have 1,000 points on your card? Hearing about the 1,000 points, the others instantly became displeased. I didn't expect you guys to play favorites. That's really disappointing. It must take some major connections. Bribing instructors, spreading rumors. The assessment instructors are at least level 3 martial artists, and injuring one would require at least a level 4 martial artist. With his unscathed body, even the strongest strength type talent from the early stages couldn't do it. I don't accept this. If you think you're strong, prove it to me. After speaking, De Zhuang moved to test my martial prowess. Although such external combat is not allowed, the instructor did not intervene. Then, the man's talent skill, petrification defense, activated, and with a mere pfft sound, I aimed my orchid finger at his forehead and lightly flicked it. In an instant, the seemingly invincible De Zhuang was sent flying back, unconscious. Instructor, he asked for it. At this point, the other 2 students were stunned, shocked. Was this really just a student? He seemed to be on a completely different level from us. However, as I was leaving, the chief instructor stopped me. She asked about my training plans, mentioning that she could personally teach me if I used my points. But I didn't even turn back, as I had more important things to handle. Hey, you brat, what could possibly be more important here than personal instruction from the chief instructor? I simply said, that would be sleeping, of course. After everyone left, the chief instructor spoke coldly. Do you remember Xiangping from our batch? He was a genius who surpassed everyone early on with his strength type talent, but true strength isn't just about muscle. Those who rely solely on the power boost from their strength type talents will eventually fade away. Lu Xing might also face the same fate. Meanwhile, I was engaged in a desperate battle, this time against a formidable opponent. I used every trick in the book to manage a draw, and only with a resolve to perish together was I able to slay him. Indeed, this zombie had been a level 6 quasi-grandmaster in life. Had I not protected myself with psychic power at the end, I would have been finished. Then, all the techniques, body movements, fist techniques, and spear play flowed into my memory. This was the most important wealth of my life, and there I was standing on the shoulders of giants in martial arts. Then in my spiritual consciousness, a small figure separated and then remerged with my main self. Soon after, it felt like glass shattering in my sea of consciousness, and I was overjoyed. My psychic power had broken through. After so long, it was time to check my credentials again. Sure enough, it had changed. My access level was now 3. My highest military rank, Major General, lived to be 156 years old, and was promoted to a level 7 martial artist before the age of 65. Now that my permissions had upgraded, I could access more information. I then reviewed the advanced chapters of the 3 techniques I had practiced, and I must say, these techniques were incredibly powerful. Then, a book in the corner caught my eye. The Complete Divine Illumination of the Underworld King Scripture, created by Duan Yifeng, an 11th level powerhouse of the Martial Alliance. I have to say, Duan Yifeng was truly a genius to create such a high-level psychic technique. He probably was among the top in the 11th level powerhouses, but even such strong individuals could not withstand the destruction of human civilization. So, every minute and every second, I must make myself stronger. In the blink of an eye, a month had passed. fast, and under the chief instructor's guidance, Charlene was quickly approaching the rank of a level 1 Mindweaver. It must be said, you have remarkable talent to have progressed so far in just a few weeks. However, the chief instructor also discovered a critical issue with Charlene. There is a mental vulnerability in her psychic strength. This is likely due to a trauma inflicted by someone in the past. The only solution is to find this person and either defeat or kill them. During this month, every student has undergone the same transformation, except I have been sleeping in every day in the dormitory. The instructor has given up on me, and my classmates think that my peak period is over. They believe I am intentionally not practicing to add an air of mystery, when in reality, I have already been surpassed by several other talents. Only Yang Yuan believes in me and has argued with classmates multiple times on my behalf, because in her heart, she knows I am not one to avoid challenges. Suddenly, the crowd in the hallway shouted, "Chao Yong is about to break the fourfold gravity record." This immediately drew the students to watch, as most of them couldn't even withstand one-fold gravity for long. As the audience grew, Chao Yong's smile began to curl at the corners of his mouth. "Look, this is the feeling of being adored, exhilarating. Although I was not as good as you initially, I have now left you far behind. I've been training day and night for a whole month, while you've been just sleeping." As soon as he finished speaking, I swiftly moved behind him. "This is the gravity training room, right? Time to test the results. I'll start with 3 hours. You've been sleeping all this time and still think you can become stronger? What a waste of 1,000 points." But I paid him no heed and walked into the gravity room. Hey, the gravity room is no joke. If you go in without warming up, be careful your heart doesn't burst from the pressure. However, 2 minutes passed, and I still hadn't moved. But the next moment, my action made Chao Yong's face turn pale. "Damn, this has to be fake, right? He's hopping around under double gravity." I felt no pressure at all, and then pressed the adjuster again. He's probably going to stop now. He must be unable to withstand it. But then there was a ding sound, and a roaring noise filled the room. Chao Yong's face contorted as he suddenly switched it to fourfold gravity. "Is this fourfold gravity?" At that moment, I knelt on one knee. Ha ha ha, he can't stand it anymore. He still thinks he can surpass me? Dream on. But the next moment, he broke into a cold sweat. The rest of the audience also stared in disbelief. I was doing pull-ups with just 2 fingers. Why is he so strong? Hasn't he been sleeping for over a month? At that moment, I suddenly came to my senses. It seems I'm about ready to adapt to fourfold gravity. But then I pressed the button again, turning it red, indicating that going any higher would be extremely dangerous. I could feel the pressure and immediately adjusted it using the earth breathing technique. The gravity room was now packed with students, all shouting, "That man is back." And at that moment, I had reached 5-fold gravity, where I could still barely perform the body refining techniques. But it wasn't enough. I needed more pressure. People thought I was going to the control panel to stop, as enduring 5-fold gravity for so long was already a record. But the button I pressed was to increase it further. What? Is he crazy? This will cause an accident. Go and inform the chief instructor immediately. What? You're saying Lu Sheng broke the 8-fold gravity? What's happening? What kind of strength does this kid have now? It seems this is already the limit of my body. The next second, the divine illumination of the Underworld King's scripture activated in my body. In just a moment, my vital energy and blood were enhanced by nearly 10%, and my internal organs were repaired and protected. If that's the case, let's see what my ultimate limit is. This is already the strongest record in history. Could he possibly go higher? After saying this, the surrounding crowd all knelt down, as the intense gravity even affected the area outside the training room. Inside, the gravity was so strong that it cracked the floor beneath me. My blood felt like it was congealing, and my bones creaked. Just staying conscious under this pressure was a struggle, but I knew well that the person who changes the future is not the one with the greatest talent or the most resources, but the one who can break through their limits. With what little consciousness I had left, I urged my body to stand up, while outside, a phenomenon of thousands worshipping had already formed. I will not concede to the future. 2 minutes later, I walked out of the gravity room, and to my surprise, my record-breaking 10-fold gravity achievement earned me 4,000 points. Isn't Lu Sheng a strength-type martial artist? How could he break the record in the gravity room? Could it be that his vital energy and blood have advanced to the 4th tier? And it seems he's headed towards the agility room. Yang Yuan felt like she was no longer even in the same league as Lu Sheng. Meanwhile, Red Hair, after receiving guidance from instructor Qin, had been training day and night in the agility room. He had now adapted to the 2nd tier of agility and was close to a breakthrough. At this moment, he was admiring his own agility talent, considering himself a genius. But the moment he stepped out the door, he saw a crowd of students and even the chief instructors gathered around another room. He immediately asked a nearby student and burst into laughter when he learned that it was Lu Sheng who had entered. "You don't think this sleep god can break my record, do you? You're nothing. Just look up there." Inside, I started at full power as soon as I entered, dodging beams of light shooting at me from all directions. How is this possible? The agility room has thousands of laser sensors, and nobody knows what will happen next. Are you sure it's his first time? However, when Red Hair heard that Lu Sheng had just broken the 10-fold gravity, his eyes nearly popped out. He's a strength-type talent, isn't he? Hasn't he been sleeping for a month? Even the instructors instructors found it hard to believe, as such nimble reactions were not even seen in experienced soldiers on the battlefield. It seemed less like reacting and more like precognition, leading them to suspect Lu Xing might be a mind weaver. But since we tested him last time, could we have missed something? I completed the second tier challenge in just 2 minutes, and the instructor could see that Lu Xing's agility had reached the state of perfection. I then initiated the third tier test, which was faster and involved relentless, all-directional bombardment with no gaps or dead angles. To complete this challenge, I had to bring out my full capabilities. Instructor Qin was again astonished. This is the intricate mastery realm. I only broke through at the age of 22 with my agility talent. As the seconds ticked by, the difficulty also increased. Mental perception alone was no longer enough. Then, I activated the wind breathing technique and vanished like a gust of wind inside the room. At that moment, the naked eye could no longer keep up with my speed, until the lights went out, indicating that I had passed the third tier. Let's go. It looks like he's really tired now. He's taken all the spotlight today. No, it seems like he wants to continue. Just when Instructor Qin thought that the third tier was my limit, I activated the fourth tier of agility. But the fourth tier of agility isn't just beams shooting from one direction. Instead, there are countless small robotic spheres around, each bursting out with 4 beams of light, like numerous giant nets coming at you, leaving no escape. Is he even human? However, as the test reached 1/3 completion, my wind breathing technique was also reaching its speed limit. Next, I could only rely on the divine illumination of the Underworld King scripture, with my psychic perception rapidly expanding from me as the center. This feeling of elongated time is called temporal sense, which means my psychic power has reached the transformative third tier. So, you really are a mind weaver. Then, a soul Dharma body flew out. It seems I need to test him further. As the Dharma body came at me, I said, "Oh ho, can't hide it anymore, huh?" I then dispersed it with a hand chop. Indeed, he's a mind weaver, and his psychic power is no less than mine. Watching is one thing, touching is too much. However, it seems I've also reached my limit. I didn't expect that just activating temporal sense would consume so much psychic energy. I'll have to try again next time. For now, I've only completed 56% of the fourth tier. Red Hair felt like his worldview was shattering. Is this really something a strength-type martial artist would do? Then, the chief instructor called me over to the command room and pulled out a huge syringe from her trousers. They thought my vital energy and blood levels had exceeded tier 3. Otherwise, it would be impossible to withstand the gravity room. The next moment, the chief instructor gave me an injection, and yet, my vital energy and blood values had already reached 124, a tier 3 martial artist. Well, it's been over 10 years since we've seen such a young tier 3 martial artist. Now it's time to test combat power levels. Let's see where my limit is. Breath of Flame, 8-fold constant star punch. In an instant, the command room seemed to tremble. In the next moment, the panel displayed 27,920. The instructor's mouth hung open in surprise. A tier 3 martial artist had just demonstrated the combat power of tier 5. Then, the chief instructor pulled out a crystal. This type of crystal is used to test psychic power, similar to how vital energy and blood levels are tested. The chief instructor is also a rare super genius, young yet possessing a psychic strength of 143 intensity and 4.2 purity. I then took the crystal in hand. Come on, I want to see to what extent my psychic power has reached. The crystal emitted a burst of light, and the chief instructor exclaimed it was impossible. My psychic power purity was as high as 20.3, 5 times hers. It's known that purifying psychic power even slightly is immensely difficult, akin to compressing a normal towel down to the size of a coin. The term genius can no longer describe him. She then took off a pendant from around her neck and handed it to me, instructing me to take it to the Mindweaver Association. There, they would provide me with ample resources for cultivation, given that such talent appears perhaps once in decades in the association. Mindweavers are rare, even in the populous Dragon Country, where less than 1% can awaken as Mindweavers. Then, Instructor Qin pulled out a bank card from his trousers, stating it contained 5 million as a personal graduation bonus for finishing first. I could hear from his tone that there was an intention to recruit me. Indeed, he wanted me to represent the East Com Province Talent Training Camp at the annual General Star Selection in the Eastern Marches. Those who participate are all 1 in 10,000 talents with the potential for the General Star, which signifies almost certain potential to become a Grandmaster. So, I graduated as valedictorian. As I was walking home, the Red River Martial Arts School's sign suddenly crashed down, indicating trouble. It turns out that the owner of the Giba Martial Arts School took advantage of Red River's injured master to challenge the school, motivated by Red River using my name in advertisements and nearly stealing all the local students. Therefore, Giba came determined to erase Red River Martial Arts School. But Naihangjiang was not to be underestimated. For the sake of his dignity, he would fight with all his might, even if it meant burning his vital essence. Seeing this, Giba's face twisted into a sinister expression, and he suddenly stomped, shattering the floor. Naihangjiang, don't refuse the toast only to be forced to drink a forfeit. Then Giba swung out a palm, but Naihangjiang, who had burned his essence essence, couldn't even withstand a single blow and was sent flying 25 meters. Nihangjiang was shocked. He hadn't expected Giba to have broken through to a tier 5 martial artist. Nihangjiang, I wasn't your match 2 years ago, but now I have trained desperately while you spend your days teaching kids to punch. I have long since surpassed you. With things having reached this point, Nihangjiang was forced to close down his martial arts school. Even though he was reluctant, he had to endure it for the sake of his daughter. Just as Giba thought he was going to dominate the martial arts schools in White River, a voice interrupted. Master Nihangjiang, how can such a good martial arts school close? Where will I train in the future? Seeing Lu Xing return, Nihangxuang's face was tear-stained. However, Giba saw an opportunity to recruit me to his school. Little brother Lu Xing, as you see, the Red River Martial Arts School is all fun and games. Join us, and I will personally teach you the Giba secret technique of impregnable defense, unbeatable by anyone of the same level. But before he could finish, Giba felt a sharp pain in his stomach and broke out in cold sweat. Oh ho, not bad at all, really tough. Indeed able to withstand a punch from me. What's going on? Was your defense just broken? Can you withstand the next one? Then there was a loud crash, and Giba, known for his impregnable defense, was violently knocked back, his momentum smashing through the wall behind him, finally knocking him unconscious. Master Giba, weren't you going to teach me? How can you teach while kneeling? Giba's young disciple, witnessing his seemingly invincible master being knocked out by a student in one move, was utterly incredulous. I then helped Nihangxuang up, saying, don't let the martial arts school close down again. After all, it's the only one near my home. Nihangjiang knew he owed me a big favor, but he was also curious. Just 2 months ago, this young man was only a tier 2 martial artist, but now he could defeat the nearly tier 5 martial artist Giba. With this lesson learned, Nihangjiang deeply understood the importance of martial prowess and vowed never to let his training lag again. In the blink of an eye, back at home, my father felt much better after eating the exotic beast meat I sent back, and even my sister had become a tier 1 martial artist. So, after dinner, I entered dream training again, and this time, I decided to meet that grandmaster. The pressure was many times stronger than any powerhouse I had encountered before. No wonder those below tier 6 are martial artists and tier 7 are called grandmasters. The gap between these levels is vast. Just the pressure he emitted made my heart tremble. But today I had to meet him. Breath of constant stars, eightfold. I kicked at the back of his ear, and I was suddenly sent flying. However, the centenarian did not move an inch, and I looked forward in amazement. My attack just now must have had at least 100,000 combat power, but I was not satisfied and switched to the breath of flame. In that case, let's go with the 10-fold constant star punch. In just an instant, a violent explosion resounded through the sky, but even so, the old man remained unmoved. Could this be the formless stance only a grandmaster possesses? A grandmaster's stance so strong that not even armor-piercing heavy artillery could penetrate. That strike was all my strength, and this level of powerhouse is not someone I can handle. I immediately tried to flee the scene. Thankfully, the old man seemed to have no intention of attacking me. Otherwise, I would have been killed. He stood there like a guardian protecting the city behind him, but I wasn't satisfied just returning like this, and then I launched 999 10-fold constant star punches at the old man. By this time, my physical strength was already depleted, and if not for the natural breathing technique replenishing me, I would have collapsed. But now, zombies below tier 6 could no longer threaten me. Thinking of this, I suddenly widened my eyes. Maybe I could try using my psychic power. Saying this, a tangible thought force appeared in my hand, and then a condensed psychic attack flew towards the old man. Although the defense wasn't broken, I could feel it weakening. If that's the case, then come on, I'm really going for it now. One by one, psychic power snowflake attacks flew at the old man. 1 wasn't enough, so then 10. If 10 wasn't enough, then 1,000. After thousands of attacks, the shell finally showed a slight crack, but it wasn't enough. I needed more powerful attacks. Finally, I used the 10-fold constant star punch combined with psychic power in an attack, this time determined to break the shell. With successive explosions, the defense finally shattered. I'm sorry, your will shall be carried on by me. Then I landed a heavy punch on the old man, but he showed a relieved smile. Could it be that he still retained consciousness? This seemed unlikely. Perhaps it was just his will remaining in his body. However, as the old man fell, scenes of memories suddenly appeared in my head. Mr. Shishingning, congratulations on breaking through to Grandmaster. Dad, the spaceship is launching this afternoon. Aren't you coming with us? As a Grandmaster, Dad must stay at the front lines to shed his last drop of blood for humanity. Is this a tier 9 exotic beast? Grandmasters have no chance against it. So cold. Is this what death feels like? I heard that the Spark Project has started, gathering all of humanity's strength to create an unprecedented tier 12 powerhouse. These heart-stopping memories left me sweating profusely. Was this the life of a Grandmaster? Compared to the memories I've absorbed before, this was a truly legendary life. The old man's name was Shishingning, a Grandmaster of the martial arts. At this moment, my mastery of martial arts was crazily increasing as I roared, advancing through intricate mastery realm, advanced intricate mastery, and peak intricate mastery until I finally reached the realm of control. In my memories, the Elder had grasped an extremely powerful martial art heart before his death. But why couldn't I find this memory? As I frowned in confusion, a golden bead on the ground caught my eye. The moment I touched it, the bead burst into dazzling light, and my consciousness arrived in an illusion. Standing before me was none other than the predecessor Shishingning, and opposite him was a powerful exotic beast. The next moment, the predecessor emitted several beams of light. In ancient mythology, each golden crow represents one sun. When 10 suns appear in the sky simultaneously, rivers dry up, the earth cracks open, endless light, endless heat burns everything, and no living being can survive. This is the martial art created by the Grandmaster Shishingning after a lifetime of hard work, named 10 suns in the sky. Unfortunately, such a powerful martial art had never made an appearance in the world. Since fate has brought it to me, let me carry on and glorify it. The next morning, I distinctly felt a qualitative change in my psychic power. If Charlene's was air and Instructor Dong's was water, then my psychic power was like a steel ball. Although still the same in form, its mass and hardness were several times greater. I seemed to be able to feel that my current psychic power could crush a Tier 4 powerhouse. However, my body also developed a faint stance, though it was thinner than a condom, not 1/1,000th as thick as the old man's, but it was akin to having the embryonic form of a grandmaster. This seed, if properly nurtured, could eventually grow into a towering tree. I then picked up my phone to contact the people from the Hall of Benevolence. Since returning from the training camp, I had been lacking exotic beast supplements, and with my recent rapid advancements, I decided to arrange a meeting with the Yi family's daughter to discuss a collaboration. However, the other party, seeing that I was a student, had improper thoughts towards me. Could I let her succeed? Obviously not. First, I tricked her into paying for 40 luxury steaks. This kid wouldn't be just conning me for a big meal, right? However, my next words shocked Ling Su because I revealed why the Yi family had collapsed so quickly. Besides their outdated views, a major reason was your mother's and the Chen family's long-standing suppression of your Hall of Benevolence. Mr. Liu, what evidence do you have for these claims? You can't just say things without proof. But I simply suggested, why don't you go home and ask your dad? It'll be clear. Ling Su thought carefully and realized it was indeed so. After her mother died, she never returned to see me, and the decline of the Hall of Benevolence truly began when her father took over. In just a few months, dozens of stores had closed. Even if her father was incompetent, it couldn't be this bad. And every time a project was about to be finalized, it would mysteriously fall through. Miss He, don't blame me for digging too deep. It's for our future cooperation. Naturally, I'll be responsible for providing the recipes and corresponding technical guidance, while you handle production and sales. But I'm asking for 90% of the profits. Ling Su slammed the table. She had anticipated that the other party might demand a lot and had prepared for a 70-30 split, but she hadn't expected him to ask for 90%. I was actually planning to take 70% because 20% would be additional compensation that you'd owe me. What do you mean? The Yi family has been harassed by the Chen family from Capital Province for so many years. Don't you want to strike back, to take back everything you've lost? Ling Su's gaze was uncertain, as she had never dared to think of revenge, knowing how powerful the Chen family was. Then, I sent a cluster of psychic energy floating in front of Ling Su, which gave her a glimpse of hope. Such a young Tier 2 martial artist, who is also a mind weaver, must certainly have powerful backing. In that case, let's take a gamble. If we continue as we are now, we'll lose everything in a few years anyway. This here is the recipe for the last time's spirit muscle fortifying blood soup. You go to the Pharmacists Association and apply for the patent first, then get the medicinal ingredients ready. After returning home, and when I saw the price list for the weapon materials, I was stunned. I thought their mention of 5 million being a small amount was just polite talk, but it turns out it really is very little. Just one of the materials would use it all up, and with my psychic power far exceeding that of ordinary people, ordinary steel simply won't do. This means the cost will be 10 times higher. Since that's the case, I'll have to dig up the materials myself. According to a map of ore distribution from 10,000 years in the future, there's a mithril mine at today's location of Bull's Head Mountain, which hasn't been mined yet. If I can get this ore, it will not only solve the issue with my weapon, but could also be sold for money. 3 days later, I arrived at the Hall of Benevolence. Today, I need to formulate the new medicine before I can set off for Bull's Head Mountain in the next few days. The next morning, I arrived at Bull's Head Mountain, 5,000 kilometers away. Since there were no cars going up the mountain, I chose a vehicle from a travel agency. But this place really is deep in the wilderness, or else the silver mine would have been discovered long ago. At that moment, a little girl next door spoke up. Brother, do you want to play ball with me? Sienna, don't disturb others. Her mother signaled an apology with her eyes, but I noticed that her husband next to her was a Tier 2 mind weaver, which is rarer than winning a lottery jackpot. To meet one here in these deep mountains is incredible. While playing ball with the little girl, my accidentally handsome face seemed to have enchanted the young lady ahead, and after getting off the vehicle, she hurriedly came to ask for my contact information. However, I agreed without a second thought, not because I'm lascivious, but because I realized this young woman, despite her young age, possesses the strength of a Tier 2 martial artist, indicating her background is not simple. Since forming the Grandmaster's will, I can freely control the release and contraction of my psyche. psychic power, so ordinary people can't detect my presence. On the other side of the mountain foot, I used my psychic power to detect a martial artist spy. I didn't investigate what they were doing. As long as they don't interfere with me, I'll leave them be for now. On the other side, a man who looked like a woman was grinning widely because his spy had scouted the whereabouts of that family of 3. He immediately decided to send 2 Tier 4 martial artists to capture them and bring them back. The reason Purple Hair was so fixated on Glasses Guy was probably to satisfy his perverse love. As this family of 3 just entered the rental house, Glasses Guy used his soul power to inspect every corner of the house, fearing that the crazy man might be lying in ambush. After all, it's best to be cautious. The immediate priority was to get back to his father-in-law's place and hide. His father-in-law, nearly a Tier 3 psychic. I continued to practice in my dream. But now, the zombies were as if injected with adrenaline. Come on, the crazier you get, the more excited I am. In just a moment, the surrounding horde of zombies vanished in a sea of fire. As the smoke cleared, I sensed a powerful presence ahead. A woman with pink hair slowly emerged, a female warrior clutching the 1000-mechanism umbrella, and I could tell at a glance that she was a Grandmaster-level fighter. The next moment, the woman disappeared from her spot and suddenly attacked from above with her gun-shaped umbrella. Was this her Grandmaster-level skill? The speed was so fast that there was nowhere to dodge, so I was split in half. A gruesome sound echoed through the sky, and suddenly I woke up in the real world. Was that what death felt like? It felt as though my body was being torn apart. The intense pain in my chest felt as real as death. I had always treated dreams as my own backyard, manipulating the brainless zombies at will with my intelligence, but it seems I made a mistake. That female zombie was incredibly strong, possibly a Tier 8 Grandmaster, even stronger than Shishing by several times. The destructive ice she released could be her Grandmaster's will. If I had reacted immediately at that time, fully activated my state, and used my control over martial arts and 10 suns in the sky, maybe I could have held on for a while. However, when I tried to re-enter the dream, I found that I couldn't get back in. Why was that? Could it be because I died in there, and now there's a cooldown period? Just then, my phone started buzzing. Jing Dandan had been messaging me to have dinner. Holy crap, 99 messages in just 2 minutes. When did I become so charming? Since that's the case, I might as well go have dinner first. After arriving at the restaurant, Jing Dandan and the little girl were waving at me. I merely nodded politely and then found a table to sit at by myself, but Jing Dandan came straight over and sat opposite me. Then I said, I thought you all had finished eating. Then Green Hair said they did eat. Pink Hair said they hadn't. Damn, what teammates? Green Hair quickly added, I just wasn't hungry earlier and didn't eat much, but now I'm getting a bit hungry. Seeing this, the little girl also wanted to go and eat with Lu Shen, claiming she could eat 10 bowls of rice with brother Lu Shen. Her usually cautious father agreed because he had already used his psychic power to inspect the restaurant and found no threats there. All were tourists. As for that boy, his gaze is very pure. He doesn't seem like a bad person. Plus, his aura is unstable. Even if he's a martial arts candidate, his strength must be pretty weak. As for the 2 female college students nearby, their talent is not bad, being Tier 2 martial artists at such a young age. But in my psychic range, their demise is but a thought away. Then Lu Sheng asked the waiter to bring out all the good dishes and meats again, which startled everyone. Afterward, I handed a plate of pork buns to the little men, but she wanted to compete with me to see who could eat faster. Alright, let's do this. I've never been afraid of anyone when it comes to eating. However, Green Hair looked at me in despair because, in her view, only those from modest backgrounds and who haven't become official martial artists would eat so much in one meal. Typically, martial artists who advance in rank and can afford it rely on supplements for energy. Those who can't afford it choose high-quality food instead. A Tier 1 martial artist could suffice with 2 bars of synthetic jerky a day. Otherwise, eating like him, there wouldn't be enough time in a day just for bathroom breaks. Yet, Red Hair thought Lu Sheng eating was incredibly cool. I'm telling you, Red Hair, you're not actually falling for him, are you? Look, he's several years younger than you, and his aura is unstable, which probably means his martial arts aptitude and family background aren't that great. You, on the other hand, are a high achiever from Martial University, a certified Tier 2 martial artist. But Red Hair said dreamily, I believe this is fate between him and me. However, Green Hair said to Red Hair, how would you manage if you two got together? A long-distance relationship? Even if your strong feelings survive a few years, he's not a certified martial artist. He'll probably earn just 5 or 6,000 in salary. What will he provide for you? What about a house? A car? Dandan, the gap between you two will only widen, and one day the contradictions will explode. But Red Hair dismissed the concerns. I can guide him in martial arts, and even if he doesn't get into Martial University, I can visit him by bus every week. I already have a house and a car. Even if he's just an ordinary person, it doesn't matter. I could join him and be ordinary too. That way, we wouldn't have to exhaust ourselves training every day. Lately, I even feel like my calves are getting thicker. At that moment, Red Hair's eyes sparkled as she looked forward, and I felt that his future would not be limited to this. While Pink Hair was confessing her feelings for Lu Sheng to Green Hair exclaimed, crazy, to give up your martial arts training of over a decade paid for a high schooler? Look at him, he looks like he has kidney deficiency. I really don't know what you see in him. Pink hair, however, suggested green hair was worrying too prematurely since nothing was set in stone yet. However, ever since Lu Xing's breakthrough in soul power, such distant conversations could be clearly heard by him. This is outrageous. This stroke of romantic luck is unstoppable. Big brother, what does outrageous mean? I could only awkwardly explain that it meant to compliment the two sisters on being beautiful. Little men seemed to understand and then ran towards pink and green hair, shouting, "Sisters, you both are so outrageous. Man, this little girl really knows how to use what she just learned." The next morning, the travel agency's group got up early to prepare for a trip to the deep mountain waterfall. However, before departure, they discovered that Meng Meng's family of 3 had mysteriously disappeared, and even their phones were switched off, which inevitably caused some concern. After a while of investigating, the old man also noticed that a young man had disappeared, and the tour guide could only try to calm everyone while searching. However, the disappearance of Lu Xing and the family of 3 left the two sisters feeling very downcast. They knew that the family of 3 wasn't ordinary and that their disappearance was normal, but Lu Xing was just an ordinary person. At this point, Pink Hair couldn't help worrying and decided to go into the deep mountains to search for them, while I was speeding towards the mithril destination on the other side. After 2 hours of travel, I had arrived at the location indicated on the map. I immediately used my psychic powers to move the soil above, and then I moved the materials below the soil to in front of me. It looks like this is mithril. I then infused my psychic power into the rock, allowing it to change shape at will. This piece weighed about 4 or 5 pounds, which at current prices could be worth 200 million. However, the mithril was still in its ore state. To forge it into a weapon for a mind weaver, it would probably need more than a dozen processing steps. The 4 or 5 pounds of mithril ore could ultimately be refined into about 1 pound of high-quality mithril, but even calling this ore small is an exaggeration. It's tiny. I had barely been digging for 10 minutes before I almost reached the bottom. If others were to dig, it would only take about a week, but transporting such a large amount of mithril was also a problem. I originally planned to dig just a little, but I couldn't stop once I started. I had to find a place to bury it first, and then later find people to help transport it back. The map showed a minority village a few kilometers nearby. Perhaps I could ask for their help. Those isolated villagers are generally simple and honest, so a little compensation should suffice. But if the wealth were truly enticing, I might have to take drastic measures. Suddenly, Lu Xing realized his thoughts were becoming increasingly ruthless, likely influenced by the zombie world consciousness. It looks like that's the village over there. I must win people over with virtue, absolutely not using force. Meanwhile, the two girls had reached deep into the forest in their search for Lu Xing. Is Lu Xing really likely to be in such a remote place? The next moment, they spotted something below. Isn't that the ball little girl always plays with? Why is it here? However, just as Pink Hair bent down to pick it up, she suddenly found herself unable to move. Above the ball, a large number of small spiders appeared. An invisible spider silk had already entangled the two of them. On the other side, inside the hall, a man shouted, "Dad, big sister and her family are back." The old man, who had been silent for a long time, had a slight smile on his face as little men rushed in shouting, "Grandpa, I missed you so much," and then crashed into the old man's arms, who affectionately patted little men's forehead. It was then that the couple slowly said, "Dad, we're back." The old man's sharp gaze knew naturally that the couple wouldn't return without reason. He then instructed the two brothers to go to the back mountain to gather some game, planning a party for the evening. Uncle also planned to take little men out for game hunting. Once everyone had left, the old man slowly began to ask about the purpose of their visit. The couple seemed to find it hard to start talking, especially since the husband had barged in years ago and eloped with the old man's daughter, and now they had the audacity to come back seeking refuge after letting the wife venture into danger. After a deep conversation, the old man, sweating and coughing, said, "What? You've offended a Tier 3 mind weaver? Ever since you took my daughter Minghua away, I knew this day would come." "Dad, please help Malin." Malin asked the old man, "Father-in-law, I remember you've been trying to break through to Tier 3 mind weaver for a long time. Are you now?" Before he could finish, the old man shook his head helplessly and interrupted, "The breakthrough failed, and I even sustained internal injuries, which caused my cultivation to greatly regress. If they really come after us, I can only hold them off for a short while. You should take the child and escape quickly. Seek help from someone else." The couple was visibly frightened, realizing they had lost their last resort. Now, who could they possibly turn to for help? Whom to find? Of course, the local police. The old man believed that since it was a society governed by law, even a Tier 3 mind weaver wouldn't dare to kill someone in the street. Malin, covering his head anxiously, said, "If calling the police were effective, why would I have needed to travel thousands of miles to come here? Is there really no other way?" Just then, the third brother shouted, "Big brother, strangers have broken in." Everyone was shocked. They hadn't expected the deranged man to find them so quickly. Meanwhile, guided by the map, I had reached this remote village, navigating through dozens of small paths to get here. Just then, a dart flew towards me. The second shouted, "Who are you? How did you find this place?" At that moment, little men popped out and happily shouted, "Big brother." Then she quickly ran over and hugged Lu Sheng. "Big brother, did you come to play ball with me at Grandpa's house?" It turns out it was this young man. This revelation relieved everyone. Then, Malin introduced me to his father-in-law, explaining that he visited his family here every year. I mentioned that I disliked group tours and had accidentally wandered here while hiking alone. The old man, liking the pure look in Lu Sheng's eyes, smiled appreciatively. Then, the second brother patted my shoulder, apologizing for the misunderstanding, and said they would soon prepare some game to make amends. I also noticed something unusual about this family. Damn, they were all mind weavers, especially the old man, who was at the peak of tier 2. Considering the purpose of my visit, since they were mind weavers, they must know the value of mithril. How was I supposed to win them over with virtue now? Then, Little Men sadly said, "Big brother, we can't play ball anymore. I lost my ball." I was just about to say I would buy him a new one when I suddenly sensed the presence of pink hair and green hair nearby. These girls hadn't also wandered here by mistake, had they? But the next moment I realized something was wrong. There were several strong presences. Little Men said, "Big brother, I see my ball." But at that moment, behind them were swarms of poisonous spiders, and pink hair and green hair looked ahead in terror. Then, a man with purple hair coldly spoke, "Tang Malin, so you've hidden here. You've really made me waste a lot of effort." The old man looked tense, realizing that the opponent was not just a tier 3 mind weaver as his son-in-law had said, but at the peak of tier 3. Then, the old man's body shone with golden light, and he shouted loudly for Malin to take the child and the villagers and flee. The next moment, several golden beams of flying swords shot towards Purple Hair, but with just a breath and a wave of his hand, Purple Hair entangled the flying swords with spider silk, leaving them suspended in the air as if frozen. At the same time, Purple Hair walked towards Malin. "I say, Malin, is that all you've got? Or is this old man all you're relying on? Such weak psychic power is a disgrace to the name of Mindweaver." The next moment, a dark purple aura spread out from Purple Hair. "Now, let's see you despair." Seeing this, Malin exerted all his strength and controlled a dense iron sphere in a desperate attempt to strike. Light orbs from all directions converged towards Purple Hair, but he remained expressionless as he waved his right hand. "What? The dense iron orb cannon has no effect on her?" Purple Hair disdainfully said. "Malin, don't refuse the toast only to be forced to drink a forfeit." As soon as he finished speaking, Purple Hair gathered energy in his right hand, and several dazzling purple beams shot out from his palm. In just an instant, everyone present was entangled in spider silk. "You bastard, let go of my family's little men. If you have the guts, come at me. What kind of skill is it to bully women and children?" Hearing this, Purple Hair's expression became even more manic. "You still have the nerve to play the hero?" As he manipulated the control in his palm, the threads around their necks suddenly tightened. "I was actually planning to kill these 2 female students and then frame you, but it turns out you've picked a good secluded place for your grave. It's perfect for me to slowly train you. Don't worry, I'll save a cup of your daughter's red for you. It's that evil art that uses people as containers for brewing wine." "You beast!" Malin screamed in agony, powerless, and Purple Hair laughed maniacally. "Yes, that's the expression of despair I wanted to see." Seeing this, Purple Hair's expression twisted even further, and Green Hair shed tears of regret. "I shouldn't have come here to relax. He's a peak tier 3 Mindweaver." Pink Hair looked at Lu Sheng, tears of frustration falling. "Are we really going to die?" "I'm not ready, Lu Sheng. Now, we can only hope that we meet again in our next lives." Purple Hair ordered 2 of his subordinates to bring Little Men over. However, just as the 2 were about to reach Little Men, the spider silk binding her suddenly broke. Purple Hair was shocked. "What's going on? How did my mithril spider silk break?" As I gathered my psychic power, I tore off all the spider silk from my body. Seeing this, Little Men cried out for me to save his parents. At that moment, 2 unwilling martial artists attacked me, but with a single right punch, both were sent flying backward. Seeing this, Purple Hair was startled. "What's happening? Are you a tier 5 martial artist?" But then, looking at Lu Sheng's seemingly frail appearance, he regained confidence the next moment. "Fierce energy is not evident, and there's no internal energy either. Could it be that you are Tang Maolin's real backup?" At this moment, Tang Maolin was dumbfounded. "Wasn't this young man just a normal high school student? But you are ultimately just someone with a bit of brute strength, without fierce energy protecting your body. Under my mithril spider silk, your fragile body will be sliced open like butter, and I can't wait to hear your cries of agony." Hearing this, I calmly said, "You can try." Seeing my overconfidence, Purple Hair angrily sent spider silk flying towards me, and from multiple strands of spider silk, a giant spider formed. Just as the spider's claws were about to reach me, I simply raised my right hand, carrying a trace of lightning power, and instantly dissolved the mithril spider. "What? This is control martial arts, where every clap is under control. My god, I've only heard of that level, never seen it." At this moment, Purple Hair's face was full of disbelief. He couldn't believe his powerful psychic power skill was instantly nullified. "Are you done talking? Now it's my turn." Then, I grabbed the spider silk and spun him around in circles. "It's impossible," Purple Hair said in disbelief. "Why can this young man even control my mithril spider silk?" He could no longer understand just how powerful the young man in front of him was. He quickly began to swell his own body. Seeing this, the old man shouted, it. Not good. He's trying to self-destruct with his psychic power and take us all with him. But how could I let you succeed? At that moment, a cyan psychic power spread from my body, and an invisible giant hand enveloped him into a flesh ball. Your psychic power is weak and pitiful, and you still want to play with self-destruction? Then, amidst Purple Hair's screams, a powerful explosion emanated from the palm of my hand. After dealing with Purple Hair, I casually took his weapon. I must say, this weapon crafted from mithril is quite impressive. I currently need a Mindweaver weapon, so this will do. At this moment, little men clung to my neck, excitedly and somewhat incoherently. Big brother, you are so strong. Thank you for saving our family. The old man kept lamenting his age, seeing that despite the young man's likely student status, he had just demonstrated strength not only equivalent to a Tier 5 martial artist and control-level martial arts, but also that terrifying psychic power. Truly, a new generation of talented individuals is rising. Our country is going to produce a dragon. The two rescued women were a bit dazed at this time, and Green Hair commented, wasn't Lu Xing supposed to be weak? Wasn't he just a good-for-nothing who eats and runs to the bathroom? At this moment, Glasses Guy approached, wanting to thank Lu Xing, but he didn't know how to start, as calling him young man no longer seemed appropriate. But Lu Xing indicated not to worry too much about formalities, mentioning that he actually needed Glasses Guy's help with something. Glasses Guy declared that from now on, he would do anything Lu Xing asked, even if it meant climbing a mountain of swords. I then entrusted the mithril or matter to Glasses Guy, as he is a Tier 2 Mindweaver in the association, and handling it secretly wouldn't be difficult. With the Bull's Head Mountain trip successfully completed, the group boarded the bus back home. Pink Hair asked me where I was heading next, and I answered that I was going to Cool City to handle some affairs at the Mindweaver Association. Pink Hair's mouth flew open in surprise. What a coincidence. We are also going to Cool City. I really should have let them mention their destination first. Could it really end up being a sort of sibling romance with her? Seeing my hesitation, Green Hair mentioned that Cool City is Pink Hair's hometown, and she was planning to visit her family this time. Since that's the case, it would be helpful to have them guide the way. Then Dong Qingxue called and informed me that this year's selection for the General Star was moved up, and she would come to pick me up immediately. After getting off at the Cool City bus station, I said I had sudden matters to attend to and bid farewell. Pink Hair looked anxious and pouted her cherry lips, thinking it was her fault. Just then, a Rolls-Royce pulled up behind us, and a jade foot slowly stepped out. A woman rushed over and embraced Pink Hair. Dandan, you're finally back. This person was Pink Hair's best friend. At that moment, the wealthy second generation from the car waved and said, Dandan, long time no see. You've gotten even prettier. Pink Hair rolled her eyes disdainfully, full of disgust. Why are you the one picking me up? She then introduced Shan Shan as one of her best friends from Martial University, who is also a Tier 2 martial artist. However, when introducing Lu Xing, she suddenly paused, then said he was a good friend she met at Bull's Head Mountain. After all, Lu Xing has many secrets, and since she didn't know much about him, it wasn't appropriate to reveal more. The rich second generation then looked disdainfully at Lu Xing, while the girl politely shook Green Hair's hand and introduced herself. The rich kid also spoke to Green Hair. My name is Chao Ming Liang, your Dandan's friend, which makes you our friend too. After speaking, he proposed taking us to Cool City for a feast. At this moment, Pink Hair got emotional. I clearly said there were 3 of us, yet you still bring a 4-seater. Her best friend then said, Dandan, he's just a travel friend you met on a trip. Why take him so seriously? We are the real friends. Seeing the situation become tense, Chao Ming Liang took out several bills from his wallet. Sorry, Dandan, it was thoughtless of us. Since we've met, let this young man take a cab with this money. Hearing this, Pink Hair exploded with anger. The man she had gone to great lengths to pursue was being slighted by them. How could she tolerate this? She immediately threw the bills back at them. I patted Pink Hair on the shoulder, telling her not to be angry because I had to leave. My chartered plane had arrived. The next moment, everyone looked up in amazement at the huge object above. Dong Qingxue stood on top of the plane shouting, hurry up, we can't land in the city. I then leaped towards the plane, leaving everyone below pale-faced with fright because the aircraft belonged to the Eastern Military Region. As I left, I struck what I thought was my coolest pose towards Pink Hair. See you next time.